Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Andsoph podcast. This is season 2, episode 7. I'm your host, Sophie Wade, and this is my podcast for ordinary people with extraordinary impacts. And today, we have been joined and graced by my lovely friend, my college girly.
Yes, hi. Yes. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course.
There's so much lore, so if I be spilling to her, I gotta spill to y'all.
And before we start, if you want to give a quick intro of a little bit, sorry, I'm like, yeah, we recorded this already. Okay, it's a mess over here. Okay, if you want
Hey again, my name is Kim Cruz. I am a Christian woman. I am also a corporate baddie, 9 to 5 over here. It's not that fun actually, so. But yeah, I have a 9 to 5. Yes. But apart from that, I really like to create content as well, like Sophie. Not a podcast, but just create little fun videos for me to get outside of that like bubble of my corporate job. I also really like going to church and like just attending events where I can meet more people that believe in the same thing I do or like to grow in their faith. Yeah. Aside from that, just as you can see my face, I love doing my makeup and like learning more about how to do it. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
If you don't know her already, she's amazing, and so I'm excited to talk about all the things we're going to get into today. And one of the first topics is going to be about our faith in womanhood, because we both are Christian and we both have had like a lot of different experiences, because we didn't go to the same churches, but we have had like a lot of conversations about our faith and what that's been like in this era of our lives. And then we're going to be talking about our lore from meeting in college and take you guys back. What's that? I need a puppy.
She's actually sponsored? Not just
right. In the future. I'm going to make a TikTok of this and I'm going to be like, cute. I'm like,
send her a pack.
We're also going to be talking about the entertainment industry and how we've been navigating that post-grad and any advice, because Kim has been my comfort girly in the post-grad era.
Yeah.
Okay, like
so tough out here. I got you, girl.
Lastly, we're going to be getting into love life. We all know love life is a sensitive area. Okay. We've been through some things.
Oh, yeah.
And, we don't always like to revisit them. But we're going to be instead talking about the things that we've learned, the things we've noticed. And so,
yay! Let's get started.
First, we're going to be answering some questions that you sent in from Instagram. So if you don't follow Andsoph's Instagram, it's at AndsophPod. And that is where I asked if you guys wanted to ask anything to our mystery guest, which is Kim, and we got a couple questions from the girlies, so thank you so much. Yes. My PA.
Literally helping her out
PA,
here.
I know, I'm like, I need a Google form for people who want to help. If you want to be on the set of Andsoph, please.
It's so fun, actually.
The first question is, what is one risk that you want to take this year?
I'm gonna spill some tea already. Okay, I want to change my job. I want to pivot to another sort of industry. I mean, I feel like, growing up, I love the entertainment industry, which I will talk about later. And I still do. Like, there's a lot of fun to it. There's a lot of boring to it. But I do want to, I kind of see myself in the beauty industry, and I'd like to test it out and, see if there's an opportunity for me or see if there's more growth there. So, more to come on that.
One risk I want to take this year is I want to learn how to make friends outside of the spaces that I'm comfortable with.
That's good.
I think I've always grown up making friends in mainly like church or school. Yeah. So I think that would be great to still find like-minded people that I enjoy being around and feel like I can build deep relationships with, but learn how to do that outside of those spaces. So the next question is, what is something that you are learning about yourself that you're proud of?
It's kind of become normal for me to show my support. I just like it so much.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, it can be hard. Maybe I don't have to do it in a way that's super huge, but even when I send you job recs or when I pay for my friend's lunch, even little things like that make me happy in the way that not only will I make them happy, but I will make myself happy. Yeah, so it's so cute. That. Yeah.
The last question is, what is one thing, or what's the number one thing on your bucket list?
I mean, of this year, I definitely want to go to New York. I've been sort of planning it with two of my coworkers, and we're like already making a list. And like, I know it might seem small because a lot of people have gone to New York, but I'm like, I haven't. So I think it just like people over there say like it's the best time to go when you're in your 20s because there's lots to do and like lots of people to meet. And I have like a few friends that I know that live over there, and I have reached out to them and they're like, yeah, let me know when you're down, like when you're coming. And I think I'm like super excited just to go and see. Cause like, what if I don't like it? I'm over here thinking like about the rats crawling in the
Yeah,
street.
that's honestly where my mind goes sometimes. Thank you guys for submitting your questions to us. So the first topic we wanted to talk about is faith, which I have talked about a little bit on here before with my cousin, just about like our experiences with faith. But I would love to have another perspective on here as well, because I know we both came from like the same, me and my cousin came from the same church that we grew up in, so that's gonna be a little different. But I would just love to talk more about like how it's been for us like now and like current times and stuff. Also, like if you want to talk like a little bit about like maybe what first brought you to God and like like a little bit about that.
I grew up without like only my mom and my twin brother. And so kind of growing up in like, you know, the fact that like the reality of not having like my I guess second parent or like my dad around was like, you know, there's some families that are that way and you see it in movies and it's always four and you think it's like that. And so a lot of my childhood was kind of resenting the fact that I didn't have a dad and like he chose someone like another family. And so I kind of grew up like kind of hating like Father's Day or like not really wanting to know about dads because I was like, they're probably all the same and stuff like that. But I think also like they say your dad is your first love, and to me I was like, well, how am I supposed to like know how other guys are or like other men? And I think that also had like a kind of like it kind of related to me having like some issues internally, and that kind of like led to depression and having anxiety. And it's things that I would hide from my family. Like to this day my mom probably doesn't know that I suffered through that. And it's because like I knew that she already had problems of her own. Like why would I add to that? I think it got really serious at one point when I was small where I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. But I was like, I hope to find a way to get out of this. And that's when I found, her name is Celeste Rose and she's an influencer. I don't know, I kept watching her and all the time she would describe, oh, like speak to God, talk to God. And through her, I started learning who God was. But I never really knew like, who is this like God? Like I didn't know about religion or like Christianity or anything. And so one time out of nowhere, my mom's hairstylist, like back then, reached out to her and she was like, oh, like, do you guys want to come to church? Like, I'm inviting you and your family. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I've lost hope in a lot of things. Like, I don't really know. Like, I need to find a light through the end of the tunnel. And that changed it all. I started going to like a Spanish church. It was like Pentecostal. And I kind of grew into my faith through that, like through the church. But that's basically how I came to God. I mean, I think it's my first time kind of telling people my testimony through this. And I was like, that's why I was really excited that you like decided to invite me, because I've never fully opened up about that. Like I've maybe talked to my friends, like gave them the very brief or like, I guess short summary of like my testimony or finding my way to God, but it wasn't like the long version. So yeah, that's kind of how it is. And then I slowly like left that church because I felt super comfortable, and I think it was around COVID time when I was like, Mom, like, because I used to go with my mom, and I was like, I don't think like this church isn't allowing me to grow in my faith. Like I think it's time for me to move on. And then that kind of led me to the church I'm in now. And that one, it's called a Zoe Church LA. Yeah, I mean, it's probably like a lot that I was looking for, I found there. Like I have my own community of girls now that even back then, like this was years of praying to God for like, give me my friends like that believing in Christ and believing God. And I found through there. So it was really nice, or little things like being able to be on the social media team.
Yeah.
And so things like that, I'm like really grateful. But looking back, I didn't fully believe that this would be my life, like God could do things. And even sometimes I still struggle, but I think like God really does hear you. And like, a lot of the times, even when I was growing up, I was like, I'm just praying, but no, I don't see the answers, or I don't see like God answering them really fast.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that he's not going to answer. It just means like, wait for me, it'll happen eventually.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for like being so open about that, and I'm so inspired by you, and I'm really grateful for you being vulnerable about those parts that you haven't shared. And I don't think I've fully heard your testimony before too. So, and you had every reason to not like trust God with your future, because it's hard with all that loss. But the way that you prayed and you waited and you eventually found your community and your purpose and your own relationship with God, I think that's beautiful. And I think a lot of people will resonate with that, who are still kind of seeking like, who is God? Or like, how do I feel about that?
I feel like it's a safe space, and Sophie's like one of my closest girly pops, so I'm forever grateful for you.
Oh, yes. I'm grateful for you.
I'm like, we're not gonna cry right now.
Right. It started. What has been most helpful for you in times where you may feel doubt again now about like certain things, if certain things happen or hurt happens, like what has kind of helped you to keep your faith in God and keep believing?
Yeah. You may think like just because you have God, like life is gonna be easy, and that's just not realistic. Like God himself was like, life is not gonna be easy, but I'm gonna walk with you through everything. Yeah, there's still a lot of times in my life where I have a lot of doubt, especially like at work. There's lots of doubt, or like I have insecurities. Like, we're not gonna be perfect, we're humans. And it's normal for us to feel that, even if like, you're not supposed to feel like that at the same time. But I think what has helped me a lot is community, like talking to you and Thais, like, our girls from college, or even like voicing it out to my friends at church, or sometimes even having conversations with my family. Like there's times in the past where I would shut myself and I would bottle it up, but that just made everything worse. And so kind of learning to open up to people and be like, look, this is what I'm going through. Like, this is why I'm not acting my usual self. Now I'm just like either praying about it, or I listen to a lot of worship music. My twin brother, he doesn't like necessarily believe in it. So some like believe in God. So I think a lot of the times having that space to worship God, like in my room or at home, doesn't feel as safe as doing it like in my car. And so being able to worship him, I also spend so much time scrolling on TikTok, and it's because my For You page knows me.
She knows me.
Yes. And so I'm like, she really throws videos at me sometimes that I'm like, I really need to hear,
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like a perfect timing type of thing where I'm like, wait, you're clocking me, like that's tea,
It's like all part of the journey. I feel like I guess we're not supposed to sit in doubt and let it consume us, but if we feel it, I feel like it's natural, and it's like we can come to God with it and be like, I'm kind of nervous about this, I'm kind of scared, like please help me to have faith, you know? And so I love that you're proactively doing those things and fighting for your relationship with God in that way. Like, what do you find yourself like praying when you sometimes are just like, I don't know what to say?
So I feel like I typically just say, so when it comes to dating, like there's this whole prayer, that prayer that people are like, if he's not the one, gotta remove them. God answers quick. I'm like, that's not what I wanted, but okay. Like don't remove him. I've had times where like I literally run to our group chat with Thais and I'm like, guys, there's this guy. And then God shuts it down, like, you're not talking about him, like, he's not the one. So that's tea on that part. But also, I ask God for signs, especially in dating. Oh my God, like, I know this one dude that I was telling you about from, it was like a thing where I was like, oh, we could start off as friends and like dating or whatever.
Yeah.
And so No, God was like, we're shutting that real quick. And I wasn't listening. Not that I was doing anything bad, but I just wasn't listening to the fact that, like, he wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And so I remember one time I was driving and I was like, God, like, give me a sign. Because I feel like the way God talks to me is signs. And so I remember one time it was like one day where I was like, God, I really need this by like end of day. And like me and God work by timeline. Like, I'm going to tell you, give me a sign like by end of week and he will give it to me. No, literally by end of day of work.
EOD?
Yes. I remember one time I was driving back from work.
Yeah.
And for some reason that street was crowded that day. Like it was packed.
Yeah.
And God was like, look right. I was like, why am I looking right? And there was a sign that said, you're worth more.
Wow.
And I was like, this is crazy. Like, this is the sign I needed. And like, it hurts. He really cares about us. And I've heard like he's a girl's dad. He's a son dad, a guy dad, whatever it is.
Whatever y'all want.
Yeah, whatever y'all want. But like, he loves his girls bad. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. 3 days ago, like this week was brutal in terms of work. And I remember like 3 days ago, that was like my toughest day at work because, you know, I'm getting more work and I'm being more trusted with work and just different things. And I was just so overwhelmed and I cried myself to sleep that day. And I was like, I haven't had a moment like this in so long.
Wow.
And I was like, God, like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Like, you know that I care a lot about the work that I'm doing and like building my brand and like knowing this is my first corporate job.
Yeah.
And I was like, but this is a lot. Like I was really overwhelmed and I was like, you know, I just need help. I need your strength. I think like one of the most powerful things that I've heard is like, even when you don't know what to say, God does know. And your tears are a prayer. So even when you don't know, like God knows, he knows your heart. Voicing it that you need strength, that you need him to help you with your problems or anything that you could be going through, like sometimes there's not even things that I say, I just talk to him. And I know that that's like a form of prayer or a sign of like, you know, I'm wanting to build my relationship with God or just being vulnerable with him, I would say.
Like, I feel like that prayer is such a way to feel seen by God, that you can come to him literally as you are. You don't have to be put together. And sometimes there's things that I don't feel like I can fully share with everybody, where it's just like, I feel like I brought up this topic like 20 times, or like, I feel like this is just a lot. And it's like, sometimes I do try to go to God first. So sometimes I be ranting.
My friends.
Like,
I'm like, God won't be annoyed. Like,
right. We hope you learned something new, hopefully, in that little conversation about faith. And if you guys are interested in talking more about it, you can DM at Andsoph Pod on Instagram, and I'd be happy to talk more. We can get into a little more about our friendship and like college life.
We had each other on Instagram and we didn't like really talk, and then we got placed. We were in like new student orientation, which is like you do tours type of thing for freshmen. And then they were like, oh, we're doing a retreat. We were like, a retreat? Like, where are we going? And so we ended up going to these like cabins and they put us together with like 2 other girls. It was supposed to be like more of us, but some of them didn't show up. And so we ended up being in the same cabin. And I mentioned Thais because she was like our third, like, we really got close with her, you know, this is our trio group. And yeah, so that's when I like started to get to know Sophie more. Like our bond grew because it was like a weekend retreat type of thing. And so like before that we didn't talk, but like now even to this day we still talk, you know. We went through so much that we're like, you know, we survived together, let's become friends. Bro, we started seeing spiders everywhere. Spiders on the ceiling,
Spiders on my bed,
in the shower,
above you in the bed.
I'm like trying to sleep, there's a spider crawling from down under. Luckily we were independent women and we killed those spiders, but it was a moment. We were like, ah!
Orientations were like a moment too.
Oh my god.
Them 6 a.m.
No,
This
really.
commencement season, y'all are all seeing. We worked that at one point. Those graduations or college graduations, we were working them.
They overworked us.
They did.
They didn't pay us. Team.
Do you think that there's something. Oh wait, also maybe you can tell them what your major was.
Yes. Let me tell y'all the stories and I'm a major.
They're like, so you went to college
for what? You just went through. So I was a marketing major, College of Business, and my minor was hospitality and tourism.
And I was a film major.
Yes.
Was there something like during your time in college that you feel like you put a lot of pressure on yourself for? That you were like, this is everything, this is my whole world. If I don't get this or if I don't do this, and now you're just kind of like, oh, looking back, I probably wouldn't have put that much pressure on me. Yeah.
I feel like it was definitely finding a job after college. Like, you know, I was first generation. Like, it's me and my twin brother who, he was in accounting. Like, duh, he was going to get a job, you know? But then there was me who, I've always been kind of like not the odd one out, I guess, but it's just like, I'm pursuing different things than my brother is, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's this kind of comparison in the sense that, like, he's going into a more stable route versus I'm going into creative route. And so I think, like, my mom would always tell me, like, you should go, like, you should pursue the same thing as your brother, like, that'll give us money. Like, you know, houses are so expensive nowadays that it's like, obviously you want your daughter to go into this route because it's like more stable and like there's growth. But like, I'm always like, you know, you should give yourself a chance to pursue what you want because you don't know the opportunities that are out there. So I think, to go back to like our topic, my thing was I had so much pressure into like getting a job, specifically in entertainment industry, and like knowing that I'm not going into a UC, like I'm not going to an Ivy League. Like, there's just so much pressure into making it in, getting your foot in the door. To be honest, like, I didn't really have like that much fun in college. I made sure to join clubs. I mean, I was also a commuter student, so it wasn't like I could have fun in campus.
Right.
Like, the fun that I would have had was like join clubs, and through there I got to meet people. But I do wish in the sense I had more fun in college, but at the same time I don't regret anything because like, now that I have a job, I get to have that fun that I craved or that I wanted. And so, yeah, it did suck a little bit because I'm like, you know, we don't come from people that have connections and like we have to find that outside. But ultimately, my whole like not having fun and like fully getting involved allowed me to have a job. But there were times when I was like, what if I did that and it all went for nothing, right? But at the same time, I told myself like, I would still be proud.
Everybody who wants to pursue anything creative out of college, like props to you because it is hard when you have that passion which you have and you have your goals that you want to do with like beauty. And I think it's definitely needed for people to hear that, like to be motivated to push themselves, but not to the point of where they're just like, I'm not enough if I don't meet these goals at this exact time.
People are focusing on their grades, and I think that's great, but that personally wasn't me. Like, I was like, C's get degrees, and like, I'm getting my degree, that's all that matters. But I know there's also like parents that like are like helicopter parents, and they're kind of forcing their kids to get A's, but then like can't get a job, and that kind of also like makes it a problem because it's like, how is your like child going to get experience if they like, how are they going to get a job if they can't get experience? Also making this pivot or like thinking about getting another job, it's like, I always think about the people behind me, like, you know, like, what am I going to do to help make their job easier? Or like, should I move from this job? Like, what if I stay? But ultimately, if it's not going to make you happy, like, you should go into what you really want. We're here for you.
We're here for you. We're gonna find something that we like.
Yes.
And pays well.
Oh, yes.
And can make a lot of impact. We're both creative girlies. And I know that as women of color, I was warned a lot in college, like, you're gonna have to work 25 million times harder. And I was like, okay, got it. Yay. Yes. I'm already deep into this major. Literally. Like, hello.
So I interned at William Morris Endeavor, and I was like a festival like intern, I think, like a live music intern. I remember getting sat next to this guy, and he was the sweetest guy ever, but he had like the rudest agent. And every time like he'd slam the door like when he got mad or or he would like talk bad about this guy, and it was just like, what if I get someone like that? I would probably cry myself to sleep. Like, we are not doing that. And so I think like even even that like whole talent agency, like I didn't see a lot of people of color. There was just maybe like some of the interns and some of like the people that were like assistants, I guess you would say, but even then it was a lot of white people. And so I kind of grew up like knowing that like even when I was in high school, like there wasn't going to be many POC in those like spaces. And so I was pretty much lost in like what I wanted to do, but I was like, I want to do something in marketing. So the next internship was me at a marketing intern agency, and it was really nice because there was a lot of women, but they were all white. So I was like, I'm the only one giving y'all advice on like getting influencers that are people of color. But I'm like, y'all want white people. Like, it's just, it's not going to really work. After that, that's when I landed my internship at Paramount Pictures. And that was like so huge for me because I was like, ever since I was little, I was like, how am I going to get here if I don't have connections and, this whole thing. So that was the first like internship that I had where I was like, oh, there's a lot of people of color. Like, of course, there's like a lot of white people and they kind of dominate the space, but there was also people of color, and like the recruiters did a lot to make sure like our voices were heard, like we asked questions. And so that kind of led me to applying now to like a role, or like when I was graduating from CSUN, to apply to a role in Paramount, because I'm like, I already know the work culture, like I already know how people are. Little did I know that I was going to apply for a role in sales. And yeah, so I work at Paramount in sales, and even from me just saying sales, your mind probably goes to, oh, that's like white people. And yeah, when I arrived, there's still a lot of white people. Going to CSUN, like there was a lot of people of color. So to me, like having my first full-time job where I was like, wow, this is huge. Like this is different to me, was kind of crazy. And I'm very thankful for the team that I do have though, because I had one manager at the time, and she was the one that hired me, and she was a Black woman, and it was amazing just seeing how much support she gave to us. Like it's like 20 of us like in my same role, and so within my whole team, all of us are people of color. Like maybe just one or two that are like associates that are in my role that are not, but other than that, like she made sure I remember my first day, she was like, you're gonna be the change this company needs. There's a lot of change that needs to happen within the entertainment industry, not just within sales. That I'm like, that's why I'm huge on supporting people. The same thing that you were saying, like work 20 times. You're already a woman. Not only are you a woman, you're a woman of color.
Right.
And those things, it's just like, not everyone will give you opportunities or will see like your worth.
Right.
Because of those two things. Like even men, like they might be like, men of color, but just because they're men, they get one up. I've always wanted to be a role model, or I've always wanted to see myself in this space. So, it's just the beginning. Like this is my first job out of college, and so it's kind of like, like it won't stop here, but like that's why we need to reach out to more women, or like more people of color, to like bring more people into this space.
It's so great to hear like the positives about the people who like did believe in you and saw you as you are, and like all your potential and all the talent that you already have. And like also like it's great that you acknowledge those harder parts too that are the reality still. Like yes, there is more people of color getting more opportunities, but there's still so much work that has to be done. And so I think that's great that you're a part of that change and like representation. It's definitely inspiring for me. I can't. It's definitely inspiring for me to see you've shared with us the stories of how work can be really stressful and hard sometimes, but you're still like taking it day by day and navigating it, and opportunities will follow. And so I'm excited to see that in your life and just see wherever the next place you'll go. Like,
so excited.
Stay tuned. I know you create as well, and so I have a lot of people in my life as well that like to do stuff outside of their full-time roles and stuff, and I know when I was working a 9 to 5 before, I really tried with this podcast, and I was like, like I was struggling so bad. So like I was counting down the days to when this would be done. And that's sad. But like, has there been anything that's been helpful for you to, because I feel like you're still really consistent with your create, like vlogs up, videos up, like
having friends that like either watch your videos or see that you upload, that gives me like more motivation to be like, I gotta post. Because one of my coworkers is like one of my close guy friends, and I always like, we always talk about content creating, and it's something that he used to do but not anymore. And so like he's always like, I have your post notifications on for like YouTube, and he's like, you haven't posted, it's been a week, has been 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then I remember the longest I didn't post was a month. And he was like, where are the videos at? And so I think that gives me the motivation to be like, no, like I gotta post, because there's people like him, like whether he actually watches it or he has it in the background, like he's still showing his support. And I think in ways like that, I'm like, wow, like I need to keep it going. And it's also because I'm sure like even you have visions to like make your podcast bigger, or like, you know, actually have a bigger setup or different things. And like the same thing for me, I'm like, I want to work with, you know, beauty brands, or I want Poppy to give me a pack too, you know. So I'm like thinking in ways like that, like you actually have goals, and it's important for you to like work towards them. So I always think like, yeah, I want to grow in my, you know, 9 to 5, but I can't leave the things that I'm actually passionate about like to the side. Like if not, nothing will ever get done. So things like that.
I think like having those friends that like are actually excited about what you do and stuff, I think is really helpful too. And like it makes it feel like, oh yeah, this is important. Like you said, it's not just like, oh, I'm posting a little video, like it's important to you, and then you never know like what that could turn into, you know, as well.
I follow these two influencer like girls that also have part-time jobs. I mean full-time jobs, and one of them, her name is Angelica Song, and she works at Google. She works in like their influencer marketing team. She's a manager, but she does that at for like 9 to 5, and then at night she does like influencer events and like just lives Hannah Montana. Like that's what I want to do, you know.
Okay, I kind of live that,
right? And so I'm like, that seems so fun, because like not only are you showing people like you should pursue, or you could potentially pursue like a 9 to 5 corporate path, but like that's a more stable, I guess, because you're getting your check every 2 weeks, or you're also doing influencer, which is an extra income. And like for her it was wild, because like with, I think last year she ended up getting a penthouse, or like a bigger like apartment. And I was like, wow, like had she only done one, maybe she could have still done it, but like having 2 sources of income was like better, because like now she lives comfortably and like opens up new opportunities. So I feel like that's so fun. Let me check my camera.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, we come strong.
I'm like waiting for the time when your face is gonna just drop and you're like we've made it to the end.
To the end. Y'all not ready?
Y'all not ready for this one. But do shout out to Thais. And our little trio group chat that we've kept alive. We have just been talking about like the real about singleness. There's like positives, I think, of this season, and also like certain things that are just like, this is actually kind of hard. And somebody telling me to just love myself, and that it'll come when I least expect it. It ain't gonna cover up the wounds. That's where we at. You wouldn't think that there would be much healing to do, because I also haven't had a boyfriend ever. Newsflash. I don't even think I've explicitly I've never explicitly said that on here. So funny. But I'm like, now y'all know my business.
Literally.
I love being mysterious. I miss it.
Me too.
If it'll help somebody. Oh, whatever. Yeah.
Maybe that's what gave us our first boyfriend.
No, I think about that sometimes. I'm like, that would be so fun to have whoever I end up spending the rest of my life with, like, in the podcast. But, like, at the time, I didn't know that it was going to be this.
Yes.
So we can just, like, document.
Exactly. We're already voicing it. It's going to happen one day. Oh, I got 2 friends, but I was like, maybe not meta gods. We can't do it.
Oh, the coworkers?
Yeah.
Their birthday. And I was like, but they were in their own world. So
I was like, y'all not talking to my girls.
Sometimes sometimes I have a hard time being the first one to say anything to anybody that I think is remotely interesting.
I love this topic.
Reveal this word. But I'm like, I've never experienced what it's like to not be single.
Yeah.
So I might be in a relationship and I might be looking back. And I probably will be looking back at this time and being like, wow, I remember when I could do this. Like,
you know, it's kind of like God protecting you from even the guys that you've liked that weren't meant for you.
Yeah, like I've heard also that like to embrace like being single and all this stuff, and that like while I'm young I should like focus on traveling and doing all the things that I want to do and not worry about a man or whatever. On the other side, I've also heard of like, oh, like just people giving me different things that I can be doing, or like everyone's like just go on Hinge, and I'm just like, but that is unhinged.
Yeah.
Sometimes
the people I was attracting, I was like, you making my worth seem less than what it is.
I feel like with my friends, the origin stories are so amazing. And they're always like, oh, we never would have expected us to come together and like build this deep relationship. So I'm like, I have faith that that can happen like romantically too. It's just like, it hasn't. Yeah. So sometimes I'm like, okay, wait, what if like this is all because I have not completed it? It's not stayed on Hinge for longer than like 10 minutes. I'm not kidding. I have never stayed on those. I'm like, what if that's it? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Everyone's like, be specific in your prayers. I'm like, I am. I literally, I wrote it down. Like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be okay.
I was like, I'd rather you be like, hey, I have a few friends. I'm gonna introduce you.
Right. But there is like one of my friends who I'm like, maybe I'll vibe. And a lot of girls think he's cute. You know,
scary. I'm like, I've been.
Do you feel like you have been able to grow in more discernment of when you're learning of like, should I stick this through? Like maybe it'll get better, or I'll learn more about them that'll like confirm that they're the one, or like have you been able to build that discernment too of when you're like, okay, I don't think this is gonna work, or maybe we're just supposed to be friends and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, definitely. that's yeah. Certain even guys that I thought I liked, or that I liked at the moment and didn't work out, I was like, wow, like God really did that in the way that he showed me like, you're not the one listening to the conversations going behind. God looks at those things, but you might be like, oh my God, he's so cute. Like, who is that? Like, I want to try becoming friends or like date him, but like you never know what's going on.
I've been most comfortable getting to know men of God at first, and then sometimes it doesn't go as I thought, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I don't want that to define my experiences with men of God as a whole, because I'm like, that is really important to me, and it's like, for me personally, that's something that I would want as a foundation already.
Yeah. Like, we already know a lot of things might not happen according to our timeline. Like, God has a completely different timeline that might be different to ours. You just don't know how it'll happen. Like, you have to trust that God will reveal it to you soon. But I remember like downloading Hinge when I was in college, and how I immediately like decided to delete it because I felt God like not giving me peace. And so that's why I don't do dating apps, because I've tried, and every time that I jump on it, it's kind of like a little temporary feeling that I get like fulfilled, but then I leave feeling empty. You'll get surprised, like life has its ways of showing you little things. Like even how we met, like I didn't think I would like join a cabin and I'd be friends with the girls in the cabin, you know. I think my mom also reminds me a lot, like everything at its time. Like, you know, maybe it's been protection, or maybe it's just been like decisions that you've made that haven't allowed you to have one, but it's not bad. Like it's just how life has gone.
And it's like refreshing too to just like talk about it and be like honest too about like how we feel. And I feel like we have to like give the perfect like polished answer of like, well, I love myself and I'm sure God will take care of me, because it's like we do believe that and we trust that, but there's also different parts of it. There's wounds from the past, and sometimes like be getting so bored that I'm just like, I'll just start thinking about somebody that I'm just not close to at all. I'm like, why have I never gotten to get to know them. Like,
Yeah.
in the short times I hear them say a joke, they're kind of funny. Or like, you know, that one time they kind of, why were they kind of like giving? I feel like I'm learning a lot too, just about like my own like self-worth during this time too, and like knowing that I'm enough as I am, and I don't have to like do those things. Like the pressure of like I need to be on a dating app, or I need to be going out to all these like places where you can like meet somebody, or like all of that. Because I'm like, I want that, but I'm not also like, it's not like life or death for me. I'm like, I feel like there's so many other things going on too that I'm like, I need to take care of this. I need to worry about this.
He would just place you at the right spot, you know?
Yeah, and it'll make sense. We'll be like, okay, that's why. Growing up, did you get a lot of attention from guys? Because I did not.
No.
Okay, yeah. I did not get little to no attention from men. Even leading up into high school.
Yeah.
I knew them, they knew me, we were cool, but like, it was not giving like romantic.
Yeah.
College, same thing. Wait, I'm like, wait.
The cabinet.
Oh. Well, yeah, in college things got a little bit different. Sometimes I'm just like, I want that like attention.
Yeah.
I'm just like, but then sometimes when it comes to me, since I'm so used to not getting it, when it comes, I'm just kind of scared. I'm just like, wait, what are you doing?
No, yeah.
Why are you talking to me? Why are you interested in me? I didn't even do anything. I'm just here.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I have to earn love. Like, I was just listening to a podcast about this with Jake Shade and Jay Shetty. It's really good. I was going to send it to you guys in the group chat. And it was like, about how sometimes we think we need to like earn that person's love, and that's why we'd be like freaking out when they like don't send us a text back fast enough, or like we're over analyzing how this conversation or this hangout went with them, and then like you feel like you have to earn that love. So that sometimes for me, if it comes to me and I didn't do anything to work for it, I think that I get like scared because I'm just like, wait, I don't know what to do with this, and I'm not used to not having to earn it.
That reminds me, y'all. I'm spilling tea real quick. I know it was a little lengthy podcast, but that's what we're here for, talking.
I was like, dang, it's so cool.
There was this one guy who asked me on a date twice. It was tea. I was like, I do not want you. And I was like, I've just never been in that position to be asked out, like, well, at all, but like twice.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a lot. And like, even my friends would say, like, he really likes you. But like, I wasn't feeling the same. And I remember the first time he had asked me, it was like through text. And I was like, oh, like, I didn't even know what's the nicest way? You can't say it in a nice way. But I was just like, you know, I'm not really like, we're just getting to know each other. But I was like, I just want us to be friends. He clearly didn't get the memo. And then 9 months later, he was like, he took me home. And I was like, this is fine, right? We're friends. But then he asked me out again, and this was in person, and the way I could not hold myself, I really did not know how to say no. It was weird because I was like, I don't feel the same way, and if I did, I would have shown my interest way before.
I used to like eat up like feeling butterflies, and I was like, that's how I know, but I'm just like, that person can make me feel butterflies.
Yeah.
So can somebody that I've never met in my life.
Yes.
So I'm like, what would it actually look like to have a whole relationship with you? And that's where I can feel like I can see things more clearly. I'm like, okay, yeah.
Oh, we got a Nate. We got a friend.
We got a friend.
He gonna come in?
What's one of your most like down bad stories that you feel like sticks out to you, where you're just like, I can't believe I did that?
Oh my god. There was this guy that I had done my talent internship with. Yeah. And I had met him through there. But he was like 2 years older. He was like in college, and I was about to graduate high school. Yeah. And we were, well, my internship I did a junior year, but we still kept in contact. And like, we would text kind of like every day. And it would be funny because like, during these like, text, he would be like, I'm not used to you lagging on me, like, can you like be quicker? And to me, I would be like, I'd light myself up because I'm like, I've never had this attention. But to me, I kind of mistaken like the niceness for flirting and for like him showing interest. And that's when I learned like there's a difference.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
You know, right? And I remember it didn't help our case because homeboy was like, oh, do you want to go, like, do you want to hang out? He was like, I can pick you up. So to me, I was like,
Picking me up.
Picking me up from my house, my mama gonna see you. That's like straight giveaway. And so my mom was like, he's gonna pick you up. Is he gonna, traditional things is like he's gonna come to your door. That doesn't really exist anymore. This was like 2018, 2019. And so homeboy like beeps, honks his horn, and he's texting me and he's like, I'm here, I'm outside.
You're like, okay,
go. And I'm like, okay, I'm going. But meanwhile, my mom, like, she's always been overprotective, like a little overprotective, so she goes outside and she meets him. It was the most awkward thing ever. I was like, it's not my boyfriend, but I guess, I mean, I get it from her, like, her side. It was like, I have to know who you're going with.
Yeah.
And so after that, it was like, this man had everything planned. Oh, wow. So to me, after this, I was like, I want someone like this, right? Like, I still kind of envision that, even if it's years behind and it didn't work.
Yeah.
We literally went bowling, and we went, like, to, like, a little bakery after, and where else did we go? I think that was the first hangout.
But he just said we're just hanging out.
Yeah, and he literally paid for everything, which to me, I was like...
As soon as the card comes out, I'm sorry, this is a date.
I don't remember if we went bowling again, because he wanted a rematch. But I think we did go bowling, and then we went to a restaurant. And then he was like, we should go watch a movie. All these 3 things we're doing in the afternoon, like in the evening. And I'm over here like, should I tell my mom we're gonna watch a movie? Like, I'm scared,
Yeah.
And so we just ended up going to watch this movie, and I think it was like Spider-Man. I don't really remember. But there was a part, like, of course we're gonna sit together, like, we're going, both of us. And so there was a part where, like, they kiss, and we're just awkwardly, like, I'm like hanging on to my seat like this. And, like, he looks at me, but I don't look at him. And our way back home, he literally asked me, he was like, do you think this is a date? Like, is this a date to you? And I was so close to being like, yeah, this is a date. But also, if he's not saying that it is, like, if he's saying it isn't, then I'm not gonna just voice it, right?
Yeah.
So I basically was like, no, it's just a hang. And he was like, that's what I think too, but my mom thinks it's a date. And I was like, my mom also thinks it's a date, so we kind of just, it was like a weird thing. Yeah, I was like, dang.
So he just said, oh no, but like, people think it is.
Yeah.
Huh?
You're right. I'm like, huh? I ended up telling him I liked him.
Oh, wow.
But I think that sort of like killed it, because he was like, oh, like, I think like you'll find, you're almost like going into college, or like you'll find, he went on this little brief thing where he was like,
save the monologue.
Yes.
Say no.
Say no. But after that, I was like, you know what, God?
Never again.
Never again. Got it.
Got it. I have not been on an actual date in like 2 years.
I think longer. Ever since that high school one for me, I was like,
I don't think I've been on a real date.
Yeah.
Ever where it's just me and one person.
Yeah.
I always went on these things called encouragement dates that we did growing up in church.
Yeah.
But it was always it was always at least one other person was always there. Like, it's always like double date at the movie. Now people are like, they'll go like one-on-one. I've hung out with people alone, but that was not like a date, and it was with friends. Oh, girl. I'm having realizations, but yeah. And I could share one down bad story to add to this, so I don't just put you on blast. Interesting. Now this person, I think they listen to this, so now you're gonna know that, like, back in the day, I was down bad for you, but I have we've moved on. So a while ago, I had this crush on this guy, and we were supposed to go see. Well,
let me check that camera. She going.
I'm all scared. Okay.
I know, me too.
Like, I think there was like a group of people that were supposed to go see this movie. Mm-hmm. They all saw it on a day where I guess we both weren't free. And then another group of friends were like, we're gonna go see this movie. Do you want to come? And then I thought of him because I was like, he wasn't able to go see that movie. I think we had like a test or something. They definitely And so then I was like, wait, what if we both went to go see the movie that we couldn't see with like those other friends, but we like ride there together to go see. I don't know what possessed me to do this, but I think I was like, since I invited him, like, I'll drive. Should have just let him drive. But I was like, oh oh yeah, I can drive. Was like literally begging him to come. I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, it would be so fun. Like, da 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 da. Like, and I also like only sat with him at the movie because the rest of the people got their tickets earlier.
Oof, yeah.
And so there was only us.
That was so awkward.
And I was like, oh. We're on the way back. Still good conversations. Girl, I went over it was like a median.
Yeah.
And as I was driving, cause girl, I feel like I was just so nervous being in the car that I was not paying attention. I was like, and I got a flat tire. It like ripped my tire.
No
It sounded
way.
so bad.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, oh my gosh, I started freaking out. There was like a part of the freeway that didn't have like rails, and he was like, get off on the next exit. And I was getting off on the next exit. I was like so scared that I almost drove off the cliff. And he was just like, calm down, breathe. And I was like,
He's like your therapist.
and then we pulled over, and I was like, literally had to do breathing exercises. And he had to try to attempt to fix a flat tire. He couldn't. We had to leave my car there, and then I had to go. And I remember that night, I was like, dude, he's gonna think that I'm crazy, and he's gonna think that I suck. And I was spiraling. I remember I called my friend, and I was like, he's not gonna want to be my friend anymore.
No.
He was like, oh no, it's fine. I'm just glad everything's okay. But that was just like my attempts to get time with my crush turned into me almost killing us. But I don't think he ever knew that I liked him a really long time ago.
Yeah.
So this will be news to him. But yeah, that's why we almost crashed and died, if you're watching this. Okay, we made it. Yay! This was a blast.
This was so fun.
I love it. We covered everything.
We did.
We covered everything, and I love how real we were.
Mm.
We did not hold back the tea.
Yes.
And I appreciate everything you shared. It was like such good gems, and I'm going to listen back to this and be like,
No, me too.
that's my favorite thing. Like, I love listening back to the podcast and being like, wait, thank you for coming down here and being on here and sharing your thoughts openly. I appreciate it.
Can't be afraid to be ourselves, you know? And
We
so I was
can't.
like, I'm excited to share and just spend time with Sophie.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was so fun.
I'm so glad. Yeah, it feels like a group chat sometimes. When
Yeah.
I'm posting these, I'm just like, I know the regulars who watch. Some people I'm like, I
Mhm.
have no idea if you're watching this. Hey, thank you to you guys for listening to us. And if you want to follow Andsoph, you can follow the links below at Andsoph Pod on Instagram and Andsoph on TikTok. And if you would like to listen to this podcast on the go, you can play it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And was there anything that you wanted to shout out before we leave?
Yes, my Instagram is at Kim ES Cruz, and it honestly has my YouTube on my link on my bio. So if you want to go check that out, you should, because I'm the same as I am on this podcast. I'm in my videos, and also just little social things, like if you want to get to meet more people, especially if you're a woman of color trying to get into entertainment industry, there's a Instagram page called Girl Wonder, with the Y, Girl with the Y. And they host a lot of like events, or they like have a lot of communities and chats where you can definitely meet more like girls, like especially women of color, especially if you're a Black woman, because that's a Black owned business. They're really great. And also want to shout out like a little page, I guess it's like a social interaction like event thing. They're called 222. And they basically like you download their app. They have like lots of events. So I signed up to go to one on Tuesday, and it's like you get paired to go with 4 strangers that are similar to you, and you get to like do whatever that event is. And you don't know of you know of the location, but you don't know where it is until the day before. That's what I'm gonna be part of, and let's see if I meet anyone, any new friends, any like people, and yeah.
Yeah, so if you guys want to fill out the guest interest form still, it is still open. I'm still leaving her open. Yes. If you would like to be on the podcast, we need your perspectives too.
We do.
Just don't say anything crazy.
I know. Be careful.
We've been through it. That's all, y'all. See you next time.
Bye.
Wow.
That was so